Demand is through the roof and supply is in the basement. Finding an affordable place to live can feel pretty impossible whether you're a buyer or a renter.
The National Low Income Housing Coalition says the U.S. is short more than 7 million affordable housing units, and no state has adequate low-income residences. Reporter Peter Zampa begins our in-depth look at the affordable housing shortage with a man who lived on the streets of New York before receiving the key to his future.
Ray Rennock shows us around his apartment inside the Prince George, a historic building in Manhattan. This space, a point of pride for Ray.
I moved into the Prince George February 1st, 2021.
Ray says he was a construction worker before a divorce landed him in a sleeping bag in a New York park.
What happened to me is something that I could probably blame myself for. But no one should have to go through that, being totally thrown on the streets.
The National Low Income Housing Coalition says the U.S. is short 7.3 million affordable units. Breaking Ground's goal? Turn buildings into low-income apartments for people experiencing or at risk of homelessness.
We renovated a former Jehovah's Witness residence. 185 of those units were reserved for lower income. For those 185 units, we received 61,000 applications.
Last year, New York announced a plan to address this shortage, reforming zoning laws, hoping to pave the way to building 100,000 new homes over the next 15 years. But this problem does not just exist in cities.
Breaking Ground has a property in rural Connecticut, just outside Hartford, where they say low-income housing is needed but scarce. Luxury apartment buildings often take up available land, and there's often a stigma attached to living near low-income residents.
People worry that it is going to disrupt the fabric of neighborhoods. People think, why would I be paying for people to have housing and all of these supports? It's cheaper to do that than to have somebody living in a tent on the streets. You're not being arrested and cycling through the criminal justice system. You are not having people calling 911 and EMS having to come and get you.
Supportive housing has Ray's life back on track. He uses in-building medical services. He painted his unit to make it feel more like home. He keeps this place sparkling clean, something he couldn't do on the streets.
Ray is fortunate he was able to find help, get off the street, and move into low-income housing.
But for countless other Americans, we know keeping a roof over their head is a source of stress every month, with half of all renters paying more than 30% of their income on rent and utilities, leaving them with little money to cover other expenses. Nationally, the average price for a one-bedroom, 899-square-foot apartment is around $1,700, about $370 higher than it was 4 years ago. And this does not include utilities.
Our in-depth coverage continues as we take a look at the impact of dramatic rent increases and speak to those working on alternative solutions. Mesa, Arizona resident Jackie Sitbeck is doing something she never expected to do again in her lifetime.
Where do you want to go?
The 86-year-old is moving, forced out of her home of 14 years due to an increase in rent almost double what she's paying now.
It's going from $1,545 up to $2,700. No, I can't do that.
A March 2024 study published by NerdWallet echoes Jackie's frustration. Rent prices are now 30% higher than they were before 2020. Across the country, people are searching for non-traditional solutions to offer affordable options for those in desperate need, but the demand often exceeds the supply.
It's a tough situation to be in. It's sad.
This landlord in the Las Vegas Valley, who didn't want to share his name, built a 160-square-foot tiny home on his property that he's trying to rent.
You have your standalone small dinette there.
For $950 a month, this tiny home comes fully furnished and includes electricity and plumbing, Wi-Fi, a backyard, and separate entrance. Once the home was listed, he wasn't prepared for what happened next.
Literally have 113 and counting people, and it keeps ringing. Family of 4 inquire if they can come.
In Georgia, neighborhood revitalization is a critical element as developers work with local agencies to create affordable housing.
Rents have been skyrocketing the last few years, and the #1 predictor of homelessness is affordability.
Richard Taylor is the founder and managing partner of an Atlanta-based real estate development firm.
There is such a great need for affordable housing in the city of Atlanta right now.
For more than 2 decades, this abandoned apartment building has sat empty. With the help of the Atlanta Affordable Housing Fund, Taylor plans to transform this overgrown property into affordable housing, with rent as low as $537 a month for a studio apartment.
People have been driving by this for decades. They know this, and this is their neighborhood. So we want to be really cognizant of that.
This is the second such property for this neighborhood. About a mile away, Taylor's company transformed another vacant eyesore into 40 units of affordable housing. For just under $1,100 a month, a studio apartment comes fully furnished, including a television, plates, and bedding. For Taylor, he says affordable housing is about revitalizing the existing structures in the community and not just tearing them down.
All I see is absolute treasure that's been left behind.
In another part of Atlanta,
It's like you're in the middle of downtown.
Mayor Andre Dickens tours the city's latest solution to the affordable housing crisis.
This is going to make someone real comfortable during this winter weather.
The city purchased shipping containers and converted them into 40 affordable housing units. Each unit has a private bathroom, bed, and kitchenette. The complex, called The Melody, cost Atlanta roughly $50 million to build and was paid in part by the city's Housing Trust Fund. The mayor says the project is a rapid approach to finding housing for those who are unhoused.
For too long, people have said this housing challenge is a big problem, and they stop right there. Big problems require innovative solutions.
Back in Arizona, Jackie slowly made a dent in her packing as she prepared to move in with her family.
I don't like having to be that dependent.
Jackie says she's frustrated by the situation, but the hardest part is losing her longtime home and losing the friends she's made in her community.
It's the saddest thing in the world. They have to leave these people.
Your local United Way 211 is just one of the resources available for finding options to pay rent, mortgage, or utility bills and stay in your home. Call 211 to speak with someone immediately or go to 211.org to find more contact information.